my group's presence of Fiaka Desko, Jelza Jema, Orim Shuku, and unfortunately Florian Kowashi is not here today. We are going to present corruption and economic growth. So how do we define corruption? A straightforward definition of the corruption would be the abuse of public office for personal gain. The public office can be abused for personal gains if an official accepts extorts, or solicits a bribe. But it can also be abused if private agents, for example, use bribes to avoid public policies for competitive advantage and profits. But bribery is not the only way for corruption. Corruption can also be committed through patronage, through nepotism, through the theft of state assets, and through the diversion of state revenue. Generally, corruption occurs more in private sectors than in public sectors, but banks should be more concerned about the public sectors because banks lend to governments and they support their programs, projects, and their policies. Bribery. What is bribery? Bribery is one of the tools of corruption. Bribery is used by private parties to buy goods and services that are offered by local or central government. Bribery can affect government contracts because firms try to bribe in order to win a contract or to tolerate a breach of a certain contract that they have made in the past. Bribery also affects government benefits. Its allocation of government benefits, whether they are monetary benefits such as access to pensions, also unemployment, and through in-task benefits, which allows access to schools and medical care. Bribery affects lower taxes because using bribery we can reduce the amount of taxes and we can reduce other fees as well by the government from private parties. These are proposed from tax collectors and taxpayers. Licenses. Briberies also affect licenses because they are offered for the discharging of a license that convene an exclusive right. For example, an exploitation of a natural resource. This is why politicians make such policies to actually create control rights when they can profit by selling them. Bribery affects time because we can actually speed up the legal activities of a government to carry out, for example, such as company registrations or construction permits. Also, bribery can affect legal outcomes. It can change legal outcomes by inducing government to avoid illegal activities such as drug dealing or pollution, or favoring one party from another in court cases.
Sorry for being late.
Paying bribes.
Okay, I can continue from here.
I don't think that you continue.
Why?
You weren't here like
The whole time we prepared this presentation. Come on, what is this?
And you know I need this grade.
we all need this way.
Why?
Please,
There should be a way, I think.
I think there's no way.
There should be a way. I know that way. I know faster. So it's okay, we can continue. I can continue now. What? So we can continue now.
No, stop, you can't
What?
continue. You didn't help us to do this project at all. You
You know
weren't
I
here
need
the
this
whole
grade.
week when we were doing the whole presentation. So you're not going to present it.
There should be a
No,
way.
there's
I
no
think
way you
also
can
for-
I think we
do
should
this.
listen to
No-
Jelza because she's
There's
part
no
of
way you
the
can
and she
do
has.
this presentation. We
Oh,
worked
you
really
sure?
hard for this.
Or I know another way. Why don't we
Oh,
put this
of
into
course.
both?
I know that way.
Okay. So please roll for Florian to present us today.
Democracy.
We shouldn't.
This is democracy.
Democracy. Okay, I will explain now what my group members are doing. So we are talking about economic growth and corruption. Here we have some statistics about bribes, paying bribes. We see that Belgium is the highest country, and we know that we should not be corrupted because corruption is bad. And okay, now let's get back to normality. We saw that this was a mini process of corruption, but we can easily put this at the state level. We saw that Fjoka, Muharrem and Durin were corrupted, but we cannot blame them because there may be internal or external factors why they are corrupted. We saw that Diazov was not corrupted, but maybe she can be rich, or I think the best reason for this was because Diazov wanted to succeed through working hard and not through making money, easy money. You saw me, I literally didn't know what I was speaking. This can happen also with the state and economy, but to further explain this in specific ways, we will continue with the other colleagues.
Okay, so the corruption has many negative effects that it can cause into a state, starting from different fields like health, in education, in law, but most importantly in economic growth. Here are some most important effects that corruption causes in economic growth. Artificially high prices and low quality, inefficient allocation of resources, uneven distribution of wealth, low stimulus for technology advancement, shadow economy, and low attractiveness for investors. So starting from the artificially high prices and low quality. So corruption leads to monopolies and oligopolies. Business owners use their money and use their ways up in order to corrupt the officials who will change the policies and make them the sole provider of a good or a service. In this way, they make themselves like an oligopoly, and they artificially can play with prices. Like they can have high prices and meanwhile low quality, which comes from because they don't have competitors. Another effect that corruption does in economy is inefficient allocation of resources. Here we have to mention the tender process, which enables the suppliers to select the suppliers that offer the best combination of price and quality. When corruption enters, it doesn't choose the company which has the best quality and the best price, but it chooses the one who offers the best corruption, or bribery. This happens a lot in public sectors. For example, in public sectors, because they have a huge flow of money. They have like 30 or 50%, according to some studies, of the total GDP of a country. Another effect that corruption has is uneven distribution of wealth. Usually in corrupted countries we can see that the wealth is not distributed almost equally at the people. We can see that we can see great differences between low classes and high classes of these people, because they corrupt and they get a lot of companies. A low stimulus for technology advancement, like no innovator would choose to innovate something if they're not protected from the patent. They will be copied from the others, so they would fail with their technology advancement. Another effect that corruption has is a shadow economy, where many businesses pay price to officials so that they do not officially register their business, so they can avoid paying taxes. This has results except in GDP, it has also many other results, such as for their workers, like they pay even lower wages than the wages that are designed by the government. Low attractiveness for foreign investors and international trade. Like no one would choose to invest in a country who knows that, if they know that the corruption is high, because they wouldn't feel safe to invest in there. So maybe you're wondering which are the countries who are affected the most by the corruption. Here is a map that Transparency Index has shown of the year 2014. Here are some countries which are listed from with the lightest color, or the least corrupted country to the most corrupted country. Like the first country in 2014 for the least corrupted country was Denmark, while the most corrupted countries were North Korea and Sudan, I guess. But also Kosovo is worth to mention that in the Balkan it's the most corrupted country here, while Slovenia is the least corrupted through these studies. Now, Fjaka will continue to explain why do people get corrupted.
Okay, so corruption has become a major issue in political and economic significance in developing countries in recent years. Political leaders and public officials have disregarded the necessity and the relevance of public morality and often indulge into corruption. Corruption existed in the past, it exists now, and will continue to exist in the future. The total elimination of corruption is not possible due to the fact that corruption is done in a secret way. So it is true that all humans need wealth, but the drive for it runs deep. Money is necessary in order for us to reach some standard of living quality and also for security. But it is also true that there are some other people who need money in order to reach their goals like power, pleasure, and fame. And but how much money they need in order to reach this goal is a question that should be addressed to individuals in order for them to decide and to judge at answering it. It is a reality that human beings never get enough money if they greedily want it. So it is greed, which is a factor that contributes a lot into people becoming corrupted. Other than greed, there are many other factors that contribute to people becoming corrupted. One of the major ones is the extreme poverty. There is a popular belief that says that poverty and corruption are closely related with one another. And across different country contexts, the corruption has been a consequence of poverty. Another reason is opportunity. If people are not given the chance to do corruption, then they cannot do so. For example, in our case with Florian, if we wouldn't give Florian the opportunity to corrupt us, he wouldn't do so. Another one is lack of ethical standards or codes of conduct which prompt people to act with integrity. Another one is light punishment. If potential corrupt people know that they won't be caught, but even if so, the punishment will be very light, they are most likely to commit corruption. Because they know that they won't spend many years in the jail. Another one is, another factor which is very important is competition. This is a competition for inefficient goods and services. Another one, the last one which I'm going to mention, is the lack of courage or the lack of courage or low awareness when it comes to corruption. This is, for example, when people are aware that there is happening some corruption, but they decide to keep silent. And the reason they do so is because they think that it's not their problem, or because they don't want to make their life more complicated or more complex. So, what they're doing, they are being aware that there is happening some corruption, but they decide to stay silent. So, now we're going to present this part.
So I'm going to do the conclusion part. I hope it will be short. And I'm done with the intent to give some advantage inconsistent with official duty and the rights of others. This is how we define the corruption. But as we understand, the corruption is something illegal or against the laws. What are the causes of corruption and the remedies of corruption? Remedies in the meaning of cures. Causes of corruption are the interest, absence of public forum, and election time. We know that in the state, the political elites are the individuals who believe in interest-oriented rather than in nation-oriented policies. Other than that, the absence of strong public forum is really an issue of the causes of corruption. Public forum throughout public forum, we can create communities and get ideas which opposes the corruption. Election time, corruption during the election time, we are pretty familiar with this concept. It is when the corruption reaches its peak level, and they get, in order to get elected, politicians bribe poor people, and in most cases also illiterate ones. Remedies or the cures of corruption, ethics and morality. This is quite straightforward. People or individuals need to believe in the values or to believe in the values of morals and ethics in their life. The second thing is the foolproof laws. We need foolproof laws in order to make a distinction between the politicians and the bureaucracy, where the role of politicians should be minimized, and the application of the policies should be handed to the people with commission or authority. The last one is the electoral reforms. With this one, I'm going to cite three important pillars. The first one is the reforms such as state control of the election expenses for candidates. The second one is the strict enforcement, like holding in-party elections, and the third one is making political parties get their accounts audited during the election time. As a conclusion, we may get to the example that corruption is like diabetes. We can never treat it totally, but we can only control it. Corruption has a corrosive impact on the economy. It worsens our image in international market and leads to loss of opportunities. So here is a quote of John Steinbeck, which I liked, which our group liked. Power does not corrupt, fear corrupts, perhaps the fear of a loss of power. And lastly, thank you for your attention.
If you have any questions regarding the corruption or something you're interested in, feel free to ask.
Is there any instance where corruption can have positive impact on economic growth?
Yes, we really thought about this idea, but we didn't want to make corruption good. So it was just, the presentation was just showing the negative parts of the
Corruption. I think corruption can be good if we corrupt the statistical organization
Yes,
about
it can be good.
about statistics. For example, Kosovo is the less corrupted country in the region. If we corrupt the organization that makes the statistics, maybe it can be good.
That's still bad.
This is an example of when
Good for us.
corruption corruption is good for us.
Because the corruption is good for someone.
Czytamy funkcję na
The corruption is good for someone. I have another question. Is like when you go and take Cetaniaften, you pay 20 euros extra for it to be done on less time. So is that like a corruption in state level?
No, it's not a corruption, because you're taking you're shortening the time. That's why you're paying extra money.
But
This is very rational, I think.
But this is done through the bribery that I just mentioned to speed up the time of the government legal activities.
So it would be corruption if it would go in the pockets of officials. But because it goes in the state.
It is
account,
registered.
you are just purchasing another service. Like when you go to the, let's say, Fotogogi, you can choose to get photos in 24 hours and pay
Yes.
a lower price, or you
Yes.
can get them in 5 minutes and you pay a higher price.
Yes.
Thank you for your clear answer.
Nothing.
Thank you.
Ah, tudo.